Here at Lovin Daily. Today we're going to have a very interesting discussion on creating better public spaces in the context of transport. We've got two special guests today. We've got Diane Oswald from Malta Public Transport, as well as Camille from EIT Urban Mobility Hub Malta. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
So, I wanted to speak to you guys a little bit about this very, very important topic, public spaces. It's something that you hear about regularly in Maltese media. Obviously, we're on a tiny island. We don't have that much space to begin with, so it's definitely a challenge, both for, authorities as well as people who are planning ahead. So when it comes to the Maltese context, is there a better way to integrate transport as well as public spaces and urban planning?
Okay, so I think everyone would agree that we all want more public space. We all want more car-free spaces. So the first step that everyone has to make is actually reduce our car use. Because if we all keep on using our cars, then there's going to be more and more cars on the road. But if we all take a step back and check which trips we can do with alternative transport, or not to do that trip altogether, if we have a meeting, if it can be replaced by a phone call, less cars on the road. If there are less cars on the road, then there's going to be more open spaces for everyone to enjoy. Now, we've all heard, a lot of reasons why people will not change to alternative transport. They say if public transport is more efficient, I will get on the bus. If there are cycle lanes all over Malta, I will ride my bike. If the weather wasn't so hot, I would walk more. But I think we have to realize that alternative transports will never be as attractive or as efficient as our own private car. However, we've seen the change in the past few years about single-use plastic. Single-use plastic was much more convenient and much more efficient than its replacement, If you use paper straws, the taste is different. If you use paper bags, and you put something cold, it's going to rip. But we all know that single-use plastic is bad for the environment. In the same way, we have to realize that our cars are causing damage, they're harming the environment, the emissions are having a severe impact on climate change, and we all have to do that little step to reduce our car use, not give up cars altogether. I mean, we have to be realistic. But I think we all can find that one trip once a week, even if we start once a month, and replace it or reduce it.
No, you've raised some really good points, and I do appreciate the realistic and practical approach to this. So what's interesting in Malta in 2021 is that we've got so many new forms of alternative transport. I mean, we had the fast ferry recently, you've got e-scooters, carpooling, so you're seeing a lot of changes. One of the changes that people are discussing is pedestrianizing streets and localities. Is this something that you think we're going to be seeing, and is this important to do in Malta?
Yes, I think it is important in Malta, and one of the many positive outcomes of the pandemic is that people are starting to experience their streets without cars, with less traffic, better air quality, less noise reduction, and so people have started to understand the importance of having access to green areas and better public spaces, and I think we should really keep this momentum going, and it is very positive to see local councils such as Amrun trying to get these discussions with their residents, trying to pedestrianize some streets, and we should start reclaiming back the space that was previously used by the cars, to use it for maybe better squares, better public settings, to put more greens in our cities. So then the space becoming more attractive and more convenient for people to walk, to cycle, and then it becomes the most obvious options for short trips in our localities.
So when we look abroad, is there any cities or models that we're seeing that, look good to us, that are successful?
Yes, I mean, you can look at cities like Bern, you can even look at London, where Oxford Street, it's completely banned for cars, they can only cross at intersections.
Very true.
But we don't really need to look that far away. We can look at Piazza Street, as Camille mentioned, and Republic Street. Up until a few years ago, there used to be cars parked on those streets, there used to be cars passing through, and there was a lot of resistance for them to be pedestrianized. But I bet if today you go and ask any person who has a business on that, one of those two streets, would you like it to go back to how it was? No one would want it, because
Very fair point.
the amount of commercial activity that's generated from pedestrianization is it's incredible, you know.
Now, Camille, I wanted to speak a little bit about your organization, EIT Urban Mobility. What is it exactly, and what's its goal? What are we trying to aim towards?
So EIT Urban Mobility is like a great network of professionals that trying to accelerate sustainable mobility and make our space more livable. So in those professionals, you find organizations such as universities, research centers, and cities that all work together to trying to test out solutions, you know, trying to replicate what is happening in certain cities. And EIT Urban Mobility has a local presence in Malta, like the Malta Hub, which is managed by 3 organizations: Project Eagle Foundation, a non-profit organization in the mobility sector, MCAST, and the Valletta Design Cluster. And what we're trying to do is also like to facilitate and to bring this knowledge and this innovation so we can also test out of those innovation and pilot them in Malta so we can improve our quality of life as well.
No, it's really, really good to hear that there's so much thought and interest in innovating the transport area, which is such a central area to Malta and always on people's minds. So on yesterday's interview, we talked about, you know, all these different multimodal forms of transportation, how you could even, you know, start off in Munshar and Gozo, and by taking various different options, you can end up wherever you want in Malta without even having to take a car. Very impressive. It's something you might not expect from Malta. So looking forward, what would be, you know, the perfect system for Malta that would integrate all these different facets?
So I think we don't need to reinvent the wheels. I mean, like the first thing is, I think, to prioritize people. So first, if we want to redesign our streets, I mean, first we should make it convenient for walking, and then cycling, and then public transport, and then like for the private cars. And I think which is good is like we already see good initiatives in Malta. I don't know if you heard about like Slow Street, but it's an action plan for the local councils to implement some interventions. So you reduce traffic in your core village, you slow down like the use of the car, so you make it more safe for people to walk and cycle, so then we can have enjoy better quality of life.
Oh no, if there's anything we can do to get more public spaces in Malta, we're definitely for that. I'm sure the public are going to love that. Guys, if you have thoughts on this, let us know in the comments below. You know, what do you think? Do you think Malta needs more public spaces? Should there be better integration between public spaces and transportation methods? Do let us know in the comments. We want to have a discussion about this. Thank you guys so much once again for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. Have a day full of love.